Ladies and gentlemen, let's get one thing straight today. Life does not reward people who drown themselves in emotions while the world moves ahead. Yes, emotions make us human. Yes, emotions give us depth. But if you let emotions control your decisions, your relationships, and your future, you are handing over the steering wheel of your life to someone else. And let me tell you this, nobody is coming to save you. Stop being an emotional fool. Stop overthinking every word, every silence, every action. Stop crying over people who don't lose sleep over you. Stop wasting your precious energy on those who don't value it. Life is too short to be played like a puppet of your emotions. Strength is not about being stone-hearted, it's about balance. It's about knowing when to feel and when to step back, when to forgive and when to walk away, when to speak and when to stay silent. That balance is power. You cannot build your dreams if you are busy holding on to people who treat you like an option. You cannot climb mountains if your own emotions are the chains around your feet. And you cannot find respect if you keep begging for love in places where it doesn't exist. So today, I want you to remember this. Be bold enough to love, but wise enough to let go. Be strong enough to care, but smart enough to protect your heart. Your emotions are beautiful, but only when you control them. Otherwise, they control you. Stop being an emotional fool, because you are meant to be unstoppable. Emotions are the colors of life. They make us laugh, they make us cry, they make us feel alive. Without emotions, we would all be robots moving from one task to another without purpose. But here's the truth. Emotions are meant to be felt, not to be the master of every choice we make. When you let emotions dictate your actions, you stop thinking logically, and that's where mistakes begin. Decisions made in the heat of anger, in the depth of sadness, or in the rush of excitement are rarely the ones you look back on with pride. Think about it. How many times have you regretted saying something in anger that you didn't really mean? How many times have you agreed to something out of guilt, only to realize later that it wasn't good for you? Or how many times have you stayed in a toxic relationship because your emotions whispered, "What if they change?" Emotions can blind you, and when you allow that blindness to steer your life, you often end up in places you never wanted to be. Successful people aren't emotionless. They simply know when to pause. They feel everything just like you do, but they take a step back and ask themselves, am I reacting or am I responding? There's a big difference between the two. Reacting is emotional. Responding is thoughtful. And that small gap, the pause before making a decision, is where wisdom lives. That's where you stop being an emotional fool and start being in control of your own destiny. It's not about shutting down your feelings. It's about balancing them with reasoning. Imagine if a pilot decided to fly a plane only based on his emotions. Fear when there's turbulence, excitement when the sky looks clear. That would be dangerous. Instead, pilots rely on instruments, data, and training. In the same way, your instruments in life are your values, your goals, and your long-term vision. Let emotions be the wind in your sails, but never the hands on the steering wheel. Another trap is confusing emotions with intuition. Intuition is calm, steady, and guiding. Emotions are noisy, impulsive, and temporary. Many people mistake fear for intuition, or loneliness for love, or guilt for responsibility. When you recognize the difference, you save yourself from decisions that cost years of regret. Your emotions are fleeting. Your choices create your future. That's why you must separate what you feel in the moment from what you truly want in the long run. At the end of the day, emotions should enrich your life, not sabotage it. Use them to add empathy to your leadership, warmth to your relationships, and passion to your goals. But when the time comes to decide, whether it's about career, relationships, or self-growth, step back and let your logic, your values, and your vision lead the way. Because that's how you stop being an emotional fool and start being the author of your own story. Overthinking is like running on a treadmill. You exhaust yourself but go absolutely nowhere. You replay conversations in your head, dissect every detail, and imagine scenarios that may never happen. In the process, you waste time, energy, and peace of mind. People often confuse overthinking with intelligence, as if the one who thinks more is automatically wiser. But wisdom doesn't come from endless analysis. It comes from clarity, perspective, and action. Overthinking drains clarity and replaces it with confusion. When you overthink, you hand your power to fear. You start creating problems that don't even exist. One small silence becomes rejection. One delayed reply becomes betrayal. And one failure becomes the end of your journey. Overthinking exaggerates emotions and distorts reality. It doesn't prepare you for the future. It paralyzes you in the present. And when you're paralyzed, you cannot make strong decisions, you cannot move forward, and you certainly cannot grow. The cousin of overthinking is overreacting. This is when you let emotions explode without filter. Someone forgets to call, and you assume they don't care. A small criticism feels like an attack. A minor inconvenience turns into a tragedy. Overreaction doesn't solve problems, it creates them. It pushes people away, damages trust, and often makes you look weaker than you truly are. Because strength is not in showing you can scream the loudest, but in showing you can stay calm when everyone else loses control. The most powerful people in the world are not the ones who never feel anything. They are the ones who stay composed under pressure. They know that reacting to everything diminishes their influence, while choosing their battles makes them unshakable. Overthinking and overreacting are both signs that you have given your emotions more power than your mind. And the truth is, a person who cannot master their emotions will always be mastered by others. Instead of overthinking, practice simplifying. Instead of asking, "What if?" 100 times, ask yourself, "What can I do right now?" That one shift takes you from endless rumination to practical action. Instead of overreacting, practice pausing. Take a breath, step back, and give yourself the gift of perspective. Most situations are not as serious as your mind convinces you they are. In fact, 90% of the problems you stress about never turn into reality. Understand this: overthinking makes you tired. Overreacting makes you fragile. And together they strip you of power. The world does not reward people who spiral in their heads or explode without control. It rewards people who think clearly, act wisely, and move with intention. That's why you must train yourself to calm the chaos in your mind and respond with strength instead of weakness. Crying over people who don't value you is like watering a dead plant. No matter how much effort you pour in, it will never bloom. When someone shows you repeatedly that they don't respect, appreciate, or prioritize you, the problem isn't them anymore. It's you, if you continue to stay. Because every tear you shed for someone who doesn't care is energy stolen from the dreams you could be chasing and the people who could actually love you the way you deserve. The truth is, people show you who they are not through their words but through their actions. If they constantly make excuses, cancel on you, dismiss your feelings, or treat you like an option, then you have your answer. Yet, many of us ignore these red flags because our emotions convince us to wait, to hope, to believe in potential instead of reality. But the harsh reality is this: someone who doesn't value you today is unlikely to magically wake up tomorrow and start treating you like gold. Crying over such people doesn't make them realize your worth. It only makes you forget your own. Every time you chase, beg, or wait for someone who doesn't invest in you, you reinforce the idea that they can get away with giving you the bare minimum. That cycle is dangerous because it teaches you to settle for crumbs when you deserve the whole feast. Respect is not something you should demand. It's something that should flow naturally in any healthy relationship, whether personal or professional. Think about it. If you lost your wallet full of money, you wouldn't spend weeks crying over it. You would accept the loss, protect what you have left, and work to earn more. But when it comes to people, we cling to loss as if our entire worth depends on their presence. This is where self-respect comes in. The moment you realize your value doesn't shrink just because someone else fails to see it, that's the moment you stop crying and start walking away with your head held high. Walking away is not weakness, it's strength. It's saying, I will not waste my tears on someone blind to my worth. You cannot force anyone to respect you, but you can control whether you allow their disrespect in your life. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is not to argue, not to beg, not to fight, but to leave. Silence and distance speak louder than any words ever could. So, stop crying over people who don't value you, because every tear you shed for them is time stolen from your own growth. Shift your focus toward those who uplift you, toward goals that ignite your passion, and toward a future that is waiting to be built. Your tears are precious. Your energy is priceless. Save them for what truly matters. Your energy is your currency. It fuels your mind, your work, your dreams, and your relationships. When you allow people to constantly drain that energy, you are silently bankrupting yourself. Energy vampires come in many forms. The constant complainers, the manipulators, the ones who only call when they need something, and the ones who bring negativity into every room. If you don't protect yourself, they will keep taking until you're left exhausted, uninspired, and empty. Protecting your energy is not about being selfish. It's about being smart. Just like you lock your house to keep thieves out, you must set boundaries to protect your mental and emotional well-being. You cannot afford to say yes to every request, to entertain every drama, or to absorb every problem that isn't yours. If someone consistently leaves you feeling drained instead of uplifted, that's your signal to create distance. Remember, it is not rude to protect your peace. It is necessary. The people around you have a direct influence on your mindset. If you surround yourself with constant negativity, you will find yourself slowly losing hope. If you spend time with people who belittle your dreams, you will start doubting your own potential. Energy is contagious. And if you are not careful, you will inherit the fears, frustrations, and failures of others without even realizing it. Protecting your energy means being intentional about who gets access to you. Sometimes, the biggest energy drainers are not strangers but people you deeply care about. Friends, colleagues, even family can unknowingly drain your spirit with their demands or negativity. That doesn't mean you have to cut them off entirely, but it does mean you need to manage how much of yourself you give away. You can love people without sacrificing your mental health. You can care for others without making their chaos your responsibility. Boundaries are not walls, they are filters. Protecting your energy also means protecting your time. Every hour spent gossiping, complaining, or engaging in pointless drama is an hour you will never get back. Ask yourself, does this conversation, this relationship, this activity fuel me or drain me? If the answer is drain, it's time to step back. Your time and energy should be invested in things that build you, inspire you, and align with the future you want to create. Anything else is a distraction. At the end of the day, your energy shapes your reality. If you let it be stolen by negativity and unnecessary chaos, your life will reflect that. But if you protect it, nurture it, and share it wisely, you'll find yourself thriving. Protecting your energy isn't an option. It's survival in a world that constantly tries to pull you in every direction. Strength is not about never feeling anything. True strength is the ability to feel deeply, but still make choices with clarity. When you balance emotions with logic, you gain control over both your heart and your mind. Most people swing to extremes. Either they suppress all emotions and come across as cold, or they drown in emotions and lose sight of reality. But real power lies in the middle ground, where you acknowledge your feelings without letting them cloud your judgment. Emotions can be a compass, but logic is the map. If you follow only your emotions, you may move passionately, but without direction. If you rely only on logic, you may make perfect plans, but lack the motivation to pursue them. When both work together, you not only know where you are going, but you also have the fire to get there. That balance is what separates leaders from followers, achievers from dreamers, and the wise from the foolish. Think of it like this. Emotions are the fuel, logic is the steering wheel. Fuel without control can burn everything down, but a steering wheel without fuel will take you nowhere. In relationships, for example, emotions may tell you to forgive endlessly, but logic reminds you that trust, once broken repeatedly, is not worth rebuilding. In business, emotions may tempt you to jump on every opportunity, but logic ensures you weigh risks before acting. Balance ensures you don't crash. Many people mistake impulsiveness for bravery. They think acting purely on emotion is following the heart, but in reality, it often leads to regret. Logic doesn't kill passion, it refines it. It helps you channel emotions in ways that are productive, not destructive. When you balance both, you respond instead of react. You choose wisely instead of blindly. And you stand firm instead of being swayed by every passing wave of feeling. Balancing emotions with logic also gives you emotional intelligence, the ability to understand yourself and others better. It allows you to lead with empathy while still making firm decisions. It helps you stay compassionate without being manipulated, kind without being taken advantage of, and ambitious without being reckless. This balance builds not just resilience, but also respect from others and from yourself. At the end of the day, strength is not about being the loudest or the toughest. It's about having the wisdom to know when to feel and when to think, when to hold on and when to let go, when to fight with passion and when to step back with reason. The person who has mastered that balance is truly unshakable, because neither emotions nor logic alone can control them. They control both. We are often taught that strength means holding on, fighting harder, and never giving up. But sometimes, true strength is in the opposite, in letting go. Letting go doesn't mean you are weak. It doesn't mean you didn't care, and it doesn't mean you failed. It means you are wise enough to recognize when something is no longer serving your growth, your peace, or your future. There is incredible power in walking away from what drains you, no matter how much your emotions beg you to stay. Holding on often feels safer because it's familiar. Whether it's a relationship, a friendship, or even an old version of yourself, the idea of letting go can feel terrifying. We fear the unknown more than the pain we already know. But here's the truth. If holding on is causing you more suffering than peace, then it is not strength, it is self-destruction. Sometimes, the bravest thing you can do for yourself is release the very thing you thought you could never live without. Letting go is also about trust. Trusting that life has more to offer you than what you're clinging to. The universe doesn't close one door without giving you another, but you'll never find it if you keep staring at the closed one. Every ending is an invitation to a new beginning, but you cannot step into that beginning if your hands are still full of the past. The act of letting go clears space for better people, better opportunities, and better experiences to enter your life. When you hold on too tightly, you often lose yourself in the process. You bend, you compromise, you sacrifice, until one day you don't recognize who you are anymore. Letting go, on the other hand, is reclaiming yourself. It's saying, I deserve better, and I refuse to settle for less. It's a decision rooted in self-respect. And that kind of decision builds a stronger foundation for your future than any toxic attachment ever could. Think of a bird learning to fly. The mother doesn't hold on forever. She lets the baby go, knowing it must face the sky on its own. Similarly, life often asks us to release things we love so we can grow. It may hurt in the moment, but with time, you realize that letting go was the exact push you needed to spread your own wings. The pain of letting go is temporary, but the freedom it brings lasts forever. So, remember this. Holding on might feel like love or loyalty, but sometimes it's just fear disguised as strength. Real courage, releasing what no longer fits your journey, and trusting yourself enough to walk forward without it. Letting go doesn't break you. It builds you into someone wiser, stronger, and freer than before. So my message to you today is simple. Stop being an emotional fool. Stop giving your power away to people who don't deserve it, to situations that don't matter, and to emotions that only weaken you. Your time is too precious, your energy is too valuable, and your future is too important to waste on things that chain you down. Strength is not about shutting your heart. It's about guiding it with wisdom. It's about knowing when to care and when to walk away, when to fight and when to let go. The moment you stop letting your emotions control you, that's the moment you step into your true power. Remember, the world doesn't respect people who are tossed around by feelings. It respects people who control their own story. And your story is waiting to be written. With courage, with clarity, and with confidence. So stand tall, protect your energy, and own your choices. Because the day you stop being an emotional fool, you start being unstoppable.